So we've talked a lot about Baylor's kind of spiral this year. Obviously, we don't cover TCU on a daily basis, but from your perspective, what has led to this erratic season for the Frogs?
I don't want to. This sounds like Baylor. It sounds a lot like what happened with Baylor. Chandler Morris was their starting quarterback. He was expected to be the guy, and he was the guy for the first, 4.5 games or so. Then he hurt his MCL, kind of like Shapen did. He hasn't played since midway through the Iowa State game. Um, and so they've been dealing with some injuries and some stuff on that front. Um, but then I look at, like, last year was almost kind of a fluke, right? They obviously made it to the national championship game. They deserve their flowers for getting there, but like they had a lot of big plays to get there. Just kind of, you know, I think Gary Patterson.
Including that fire
Oh
drill
yeah,
field
for
goal.
sure.
I mean
Gary Patterson.
I wrote it at the time. The odds of them pulling that off were
Right.
astronomical, and the fact that they were able to do it was, I mean, it saved their season. They don't play in the national championship game without that win.
They got it off with what, like 2 seconds left or
Yeah, I
something?
mean, they ran those guys on the field with like 15 seconds, and I mean, they
Yeah.
had to get lined up and kick a fairly long field goal in that amount of time, and just barely got it off, like you said.
Wow. I mean, but like TCU last year had 29 plays of 40 yards or more, whether that was a touchdown or not. This year, that number is 3. So, just the kind of the explosive, the big plays that kind of help TCU win all those games and get to the national championship game have not happened for them this year. And so I think that, and just some of the execution issues that have come with kind of having backups play significant minutes. I think that's kind of helped that have them spiral, not quite to Baylor's level, but close.
Close. They're only a game ahead of them. Uh, yeah, I think you hit on it. I mean, I said it again in probably a column last year. I was like, TCU is living right, and the Frog fans, some of them came after me, like that I was diminishing what they had done,
Right.
but no, I mean, it was a year where like everything went right. And I gave them credit for that. I mean, you still have to win, you still have to pull those games out. But it does turn out, it turns out that quarterback matters. um, if you'll recall, last year, Chandler Morris started the season as the starter. And
Yeah.
by the
Right.
way, a couple
Right.
seasons ago was against Baylor was Chandler Morris's debut, and I always thought it was going to be called the Chandler Morris game because he came out and just torched Baylor.
Wow.
But yeah, he starts the year as the starter last year, and then Max Duggan takes over, and we know what happens from there.
Mm-hmm.
Max ended up getting my Heisman vote because I
Really.
just thought he was so instrumental in everything they did. And I thought in the Big 12 championship game, which they lost
Mm-hmm.
to Kansas State, and yet still made the playoff, um, I thought he was ginormous. He just like took the team on his shoulders, did everything. He was like hurt, but he was, fighting out there, and it was really inspiring. And to me, that got my Heisman vote. Um, so I think they've missed Max Duggan, they've missed Quentin Johnson, and
Yeah.
uh, Hodges Tomlinson, Trevius Hodges Tomlinson, Midway kid who's now in the NFL. So yeah, they've missed those guys. I mean, Hodges Tomlinson was a Thorpe Award guy. Quentin Johnston was their big play receiver. Max Duggan was, just their do it all everything. And others that they
Right.
lost. So I don't think it would have really even been fair to think that TCU could replicate last season, but I also don't think anybody really saw 4-6 necessarily coming.
Yeah, there was probably some. I mean, they could have easily beaten Texas last week. They held them to 3 points in the second half and kind of really made some halftime adjustments. So that, yeah, they are. I think they are very, I know it's cliche, but they're a much better team than their record shows.
Yeah,
Right.
they've played some close games and lost for sure.